Hi guys, welcome back to Daily Dreamer. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out with me for a dream today. I'm just going to get to it. I've been having so many dreams, but this one in particular was a great dream. All right, so I wake up, come to, and I am in my house, and I remember saying I needed to get kitty treats, so I need to go next door. When I go next door to get kitty treats, even though the playground was almost exactly so it was in real life here at my house, I knew it was a dream because the hill to my neighbor's house was very steep, and I don't have a steep hill. So I knew at that point it was, a dream, even though it appeared real. So I get over to my neighbor's house and get the treats. And I remember coming back going, I'm not climbing that hill. So via thought, I put myself at the top of the hill. I go inside my house, and there is an older lady sitting at the hearth of the fireplace. And she has what appeared to be, or the sense that I got was, it was her grandchild. She's holding her grandchild, and you could tell she was a bit disheveled, a little confused. And so I approach her and I said, can I help you? And she says, I just need a moment. I need just a moment to gather myself. And I said, okay, well, how can I help you? She said that she used to live there, and that she came back there because that place was one of peace for her. She enjoyed that house, and it always brought her good memories. So she asked if I would mind holding her grandson, her grandbaby. And I said, no, not at all. What is it that you're going to do? She said, I'd like to go ahead and stamp out his life for him. I said, stamp out his life? She said, yes, create a world where he does not have to cry or worry or have to deal with the chaos that we've all had to go through. And so I watch. She picks up her basket that is sitting next to her, and she brings out these stamps. Now, these stamps are huge. And they're huge. I remember the thought going through my mind at the time was, well, how are you going to find a stamp pad big enough to be able to stamp out these wonderful scenes? They were so intricate and detailed. But every scene was beautiful. And there was nothing negative or bad on these stamps. Everything was just perfect. And so she takes them and she starts to just automatically create, I guess, his story for him. And then at the very end, we let the baby down so that he could play with the stamps. And I tell her, come over to the window. You might find some peace there. She remembered the window because the window is a very scenic one. It's huge, and you can look out over the city. She remembered that. She come over, and I said, have you ever done the same for you? She said, what is that? I said, stamp out happy thoughts for yourself. And she kind of looked at me like, wow, it never even dawned on me. And I said, well, you can stay here as long as you want. Maybe look at this one for yourself and find peace in that. And I was with back to consciousness. So I don't know how long she stayed there. What a dream to have. It was awesome. So I woke up and I was like, I wonder what that one was about. Let's go find out what this one was all about, shall we? So what does that dream mean, guys? Well, I'll tell you one thing. The times, they are changing. Isn't that what Bob Dylan said? Yeah, we certainly don't need to rely on outside experiences anymore to remind us that just how much everything is distorted these days. And even a casual look around the world is going to tell you that we're not in Kansas anymore. It'd be a different story if all these rapid changes that we were experiencing were leading us towards that paradise that we've all heard about. But currently, it doesn't appear that it's going that way. Instead, it feels like it's going more towards pandemonium, an all-out chaos in the world. But actually, guess what? That's not the case at all. Some of us, we hold of a time when things can be fixed. We hold on to a world that can return to a more dignified and more peaceful state of being. Unfortunately, the bad news here is that the system doesn't really want to play along with us. And it doesn't have to, though. And it isn't broken. It's designed to operate exactly as it is. And it's doing its job well. The world is controlled and events are driven. And they are done so by the powers that be. They always promise that life will improve, but then they never seem to make good on that promise. And ever so often, we remember those empty promises, and then we raise a little ruckus to demonstrate our displeasure at it. And the reaction that comes from the powers that be is the same each and every time. And it doesn't even matter what country you live in. In every instance and in every demonstration, it's going to be met with brute force and violence, and they are going to be put down hard. That's the signature trademark of the powers that be, guys. It relies heavily on confusion as a primary tool of control. And it works quite well because nobody can actually see the bigger picture. And those that do, well, they're labeled as crazy or conspiracy theorist or truther. They have everything so confused and so chaotic that to the average mind, solving all of these greed-generated problems, what seems an impossibility. Almost every single current threat to humanity, if you trace it back, can be traced directly to human activity, mostly in the pursuit of business and power. But this madness, all of it, it can be undone. It can be reversed, and it can be ended altogether. It's like solving a Rubik's Cube. Did you know that the Rubik's Cube can actually be solved in 20 moves or less? From any starting point and without cheating. It doesn't seem impossible, right? It doesn't seem possible at all. But it is, and that's the truth. But there is no trick to solving the Rubik's Cube. It's a key that's going to solve it. It's a key that we can actually even apply to any other difficult human endeavor that we face in our daily lives. The key is something that's called God's algorithm. So what is God's algorithm? Well, it's basically solving a problem by making only moves that give you optimal results. An optimal result is one requiring the fewest moves possible towards that final solution. It's also called an elegant solution or critical path. So let's talk about some elegant, optimal solutions for the world today. Collectively speaking, we all know where we want to be. Call that solution the puzzle, if you will. Most, if not all of us humans, we would prefer a world that is free of war and corporate domination, a world without hate or greed or slavery or hunger or any undue violence, just for starters. We all want that. So we know what we want, and we most certainly can see where it is that we've been taken in this day and age by the powers that be, i.e., all the madness in the world today. There's a lot of torrential terrain between where we are and where we'd like to be. And as before, the key to getting where we want to be is that critical path, that elegant solution, or God's algorithm, if you will. That critical path is only going to use optimal moves that serve ourselves, that serve humanity, even the planet herself, for the greater good. So, what does that critical path look like? Buckminster Fuller once said, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, you build a new model that makes the other model obsolete." And that's what we're going to do. First and foremost, the new model has to require a unity of spirit and purpose. And if we allow the powers that be to keep setting us against each other over and over, we will never have that. So don't get caught up in the bullcrap that's going on today in the small protests, because that can be a huge stumbling block for you. As individuals, we have this overwhelming feeling to feel special or better than those that are around us. Now factor that in with our hardwired need for conflict and drama in our everyday lives. Well, then now you can certainly see where we've gotten so astray and off the beaten path. Obviously, one cannot make optimal, elegant moves that is going to change the world as a collective without first applying that to our individual lives. And therein resides another key, guys. By asserting your own freedom of your own timeless, ageless, multidimensional souls, you're able to take power back from those who actually stole it away from you. And of course, by doing that, now it diminishes them and empowers you. And that brings us right back to the domain of the universal law that states that energy follows thought. We create our individual realities according to how we think and what we choose to believe. It isn't a universal law that demands your compliance. It's one that operates on universal principles, regardless of whether or not you are aware. Every day you consider yourself a powerless victim. And guess what? The universe is going to show you that, because the universe rearranges itself to match your picture of reality. Where is your attention focused right now in your life currently? What keeps your focus there? The matrix, or life itself, always sells us a common worldview in a very plethora of ways, in a myriad of ways, and it's going to use that to exploit the more negative aspects of ourselves, our basic human nature. That's what it's designed to do. The fear-mongering elite know very well just how easily manipulated humanity is when they are in a constant state of fear. It doesn't even matter what the fear is, as long as everybody is feeling it. You know, what if we actually denied them that focus of fear? What if we began looking at other ways to see, to be in this world? You know, focusing on the positive. You know, because the universal law of energy follows thought, it has no choice or option. It operates elegantly and optimally every single time according to input. So what are you putting into the machine? If we then collectively begin to divert our attention to the opposite status quo, which is fear, then it becomes weakened. And then, you know, it starts focusing, we focus our attention on the empowered towards the manifestation, and what starts happening for us? Good things, because we're focused on the positive. You know, the great shift of ages is happening right now, okay? And part of this evolutionary event is the accelerating resonance of humanity into a higher spiritual octave. That's where we are. Basically, guys, we're graduating. We're not graduating from high school either. We are actually graduating just from kindergarten. So don't get your hopes up, but we're getting there. You know, what we knew as third dimensional reality, guess what? Well, it ended on a rainy afternoon a few years back. We were abruptly ushered into the resonance of fourth dimensional frequency. And it's a brief transitional period in which humanity can take a moment to breathe and now choose a different path. And thank goodness for that. Otherwise, we'd all be in a state of panic and things would be chaotic, and who knows where we would be. You know, the facade of the old building is crumbling more and more every day, just like the dinosaurs did. They went away. So stand back, let it fail, let it fall, and say goodbye. Life and reality, guys, is a multiplex theater all around you. So if you are tired of this old show, there are many other ones to choose from just around the corner. It's just a mouse click away, and you can find universes and awareness is resonating at a higher frequency for you. If we are to apply God's algorithm in our individual lives, the very first order of business is clearing away some residual debris. So guys, go through your closets, go through your garages. When you see something that you haven't touched in a year, get rid of it. Give it away. Sell it. You no longer need it. Lighten the load. Clear the clutter. You know, use everything. Leave nothing. If you have people in your life that you haven't conversed with or you haven't touched in over a year, release yourself from these relationships because they are no longer serving you. You know, abruptly changing your worldview or your spiritual path, guys. It is never a smooth transition in and of itself. So you have to understand that there will be pain attached if you are ready to finally say goodbye. Sometimes that also includes the foundation being the first to go. And that, my friends, that will definitely bring in a period of confusion for you, a sense of detached sensation. But let it go. Start a new one. Because everything that is new and wonderful, it just exists right beyond your comfort zone. Okay? You got to try to be available for life to show you what it is that you are really seeking. You have to be available for that. Don't plan stuff out ahead of time right now. Don't create that schedule. Instead, as much as you possibly can, go with the flow. Okay? See what that shows you. To be able to rise up out of your dense energies and your mundane activities of everyday life, you have to be able to be willing to let go your release of that addiction to the conflicts and your negativities that we all go through daily. You have to try to focus on the positive. We each have free will and we can choose to align with the negative or the positive polarity. Just remember, energy follows thought, and the universe shapes itself to match your expectations. Right now, all of humanity is like Lewis and Clark. We're moving through undiscovered territories and realms and time and space for the first time ever. There are signs of higher resonance energy everywhere these days, but we may not always know how to recognize them. Because you know why? Because there's not no handy-dandy instruction booklet that tells us exactly what to look for. So we may not even notice it. But it could simply be in the butterflies that are fluttering past you, giving you a wonderful feeling. Life is like a river. Go with the flow. There exists, perhaps not a perfect world, but one at the very least that is opposite of the one that you are currently in. Okay? Opposite of the negative fear that keeps you bound in your chains and your mental torments. It exists, and there is indeed a critical path to getting there. Although getting there may require a couple million elegant, optimal moves, it is still possible, and it can all be accomplished, guys. It's starting with the key to your inner self. That first move must be towards unity, and that is done one heart at a time, starting with yours. Guys, until next time, many blessings to you and sweet dreams.